Tony, welcome to Manchester. Nice to see you. It's, 1983 since we last had a chat, and that was just prior to the Born Again album, when you were in rehearsals down in Birmingham. And I must admit, on my journey down on the train, I was a little bit dubious about Ian Gillan joining the band, but when we had a chat, everything seemed to fall in place nicely. And Bill Ward looked fantastically well. But it didn't quite turn out that way, did it at all?
No. Well, what happened, really, Bill was on this, he was a recovering alcoholic, and when we were at the Manor recording and stuff like that, after we'd done while we were doing the album, Bill started drinking again. And basically, I think he found he couldn't find the same sort of thing as he got, the relief as he got in America, He had there's a lot of places there that deal with alcoholism, and I don't think he could find all the proper facilities here. So we decided it'd be best if Bill went back and sorted himself out, which he is now. He looks great now.
Does he? Yeah.
Really
The point is that during the rehearsals, I mean, he was full of enthusiasm. For starters, he wouldn't go down to the pub with you, etc. I mean,
as I say, he didn't drink, stopped drinking, and then one night, I think he got fed up with seeing us all drinking, so he had a lot of problems going on, and he started again.
But what about Ian, though? I really don't think that, although he did a great job on Born Again, his vocals were superb, etc., but then he slated Sabbath in the press.
Did he?
About the album sleeve, and then about the production. I mean, what gives was something like that?
Well, even with the album sleeve, I don't know what happened there myself, because that was done, by the record company. I mean, we did see it, and as a matter of fact, when we first did it, we started laughing ourselves. They could never use that as album cover. So of course we did. But as far as with Ian, I don't know what happened there. We got on stage and. He just thought he was different altogether. He couldn't sing the vocals or anything. And as far as the production goes on that album, it was fine when we actually done it. And when we mixed it and we went to cutting, it went to cutting and went to be pressed. Nobody okayed the test pressing, which is what normally happens. If you don't follow it right the way through, something cocks up somewhere.
Absolutely. You were determined this time, of course, with the album Seventh Star. You were going to be holding the reins all the way.
Well, I brought in Jeff Glixman, who produced the album, really, on this album, and we went through it together and right through to the final thing, which was, and I liked his work. I like the way he works.
Same here. I love the work he did with Magnum on Chase the Dragon.
Yeah.
Fabulous. He's a great producer.
He is. He's real good. Yeah.
So you brought in Glenn Hughes on vocals.
Yeah.
Probably one of the world's greatest vocalists. Nobody can dispute the vocals he's done on Seventh Star. Fantastic. And then, of course, the old thing sets in again, doesn't it?
That's right.
Out on the road.
Yeah. I think it's one of those really hadn't been on the road for a while. We give Glenn a good chance, finally. Out of everybody was saying, who's been with me before, it's not going to work, Gary Moore had a lot of problems with him and so on, different people before. And I haven't seen Glenn since Deep Purple, a play, since Deep Purple. And apparently in between that, he's had a lot of trouble trying to get on stage, even. And I was surprised, and everybody was surprised, that we actually did get him to get on stage to that far. I mean, he didn't do much, but we got him that far.
What sort of numbers were you doing in America then? I mean, obviously you covered probably all the numbers on Seventh Star.
We were doing about 4 off in the album.
Were you doing some of the old Sabbath favourites like Paranoid and NRB? You were?
Yeah, we were doing Paranoid, War Pigs, Iron Man, and then Heaven and Hell, and some up more later stuff we were running.
Yeah.
But he just couldn't. He just didn't handle it. He just seemed to go to pieces. I don't know. Nobody can figure out exactly what it was. We sent him to different doctors and psychiatrists, you name it. He went there. But he just couldn't get it together.
Yeah. One thing we have ignored, actually, of course, is the Live Aid gig. Now, how did that actually come together? Where you were back with Bill, back with Geezer, and Ozzy.
Yeah. Well, that came together was. I had a phone call from Geezer first, who told me that Ozzy'd been on the phone and he wanted to call me, but he didn't know whether he should. I said, yeah, I'd tell him to call me up. And so he called me up and they asked if I wanted to do this. They started telling me about it and said, do you want to fancy doing it? And but prior to that, 8 months prior to that, we were talking about getting the original band back together, you see, because we had a secret meeting that everybody knew where it was. apparently we found out afterwards, people were finding out that we were secretly meeting in San Diego. We talked about getting it back together with the old lineup. And we said, yeah, we'd do it. And we said from that day, like a year later, we'd do it. And of course, in between that date came the Live Aid thing, which they phoned up and said, do you want to do it? And so on and so on and so on. And so we said, yeah, let's do it. So we done it and got together. And then the day before the Live Aid show, we had another meeting about putting the band back together again. And there were so many things going on outside the band,
I think one of the dampeners, really, to save you embarrassment, was Don Arden shoving that.
That's right, on Aussie.
Yeah. Writ in your hand, or in Aussies, wasn't it?
In Aussies, yeah. And of course, the way the paper said it, as though we'd give Aussie, That was the American press anyway, as though we'd give Aussie a writ, which we hadn't. But he got issued the writ, and then what happened with that was then there's other record companies getting involved. It would have been a big, to do it because we were all on different record labels. It would have been really quite complicated.
Yeah.
But we did talk about it. We wanted to do it, but there were so many outside things that were going on.
Yeah, and of course, Ozzy had already got five albums in the bag. And you
could have fooled me by that one. No, we hadn't.
Ozzy, you got Blizzard of Oz.
Oh, I thought you meant already recorded.
Oh, no. You got Blizzard of Oz, Diary of a Bad Man, Talk of the Devil, which was a double,
right,
counts as 2 units.
Yeah.
The Ultimate Sin.
That's right.
That was already in the bag. You got Seventh Star. Was that already in the bag?
As a matter of fact, he was still doing the Ultimate Sin. He hadn't got any material for that album at the time when we'd done the Live Aid thing. He was talking. He asked me if I got any material. So that's how far that was.
That is the Oz all over. I mean, you could plat sawdust, couldn't you?
And the other album, the double live album we done, was another time we got together when after Ronnie had gone. I'll say it like that. That Ozzy came over to see him at the hotel in Los Angeles and said, "Do you want to fancy getting back together and doing a live album and stuff like this?" And we were doing the live album at that time with Ronnie, after recording the shows, and Ronnie gone at that point, but we were still finishing the live album, still mixing it and stuff. So I told Ozzy, I said, we can't really do it because we've got a live album we're doing ourselves.